welcome to my channel. I am brand new here to YouTube and I'm so excited to share with you my first video, which is a bit of a Christmas house tour along with a decorate with me. The first tip I'd like to share with you is always choose a theme and a color scheme that goes along with the theme and colors of your home. For me, I always stick with a neutral palette when decorating my first floor. As you'll see, I have lots of grays, whites, beiges, even gold tones. And so that's the same palette I choose whenever I decorate for the holidays. Also, you want to go along with the style of your home. My home is very transitional, and therefore that's the route I like to go with my decorations as well. So first you'll see me here. I am setting up my fireplace and mantle area. I got these trees at Hobby Lobby, I would say about 2 years ago. Just plain simple trees, kind of on the rustic side, pre-lit as you can see. And I'm arranging those on either side of the fireplace. These bring a lot of warmth and coziness to the room. Next you'll see here the focus of the mantle, and this is a garland that I actually created myself. I used wire, or you could use string, and I used the shatterproof bulbs. These particular bulbs came from At Home. It was fairly simple to make. You just string the bulbs onto the wire, alternating gold and silver. And you just have to be patient because occasionally they'll pop off on you. I went ahead and hung these, again with wire and just command hooks on the top of the mantle. Because this piece is so dramatic, I decided to keep the rest of my mantle fairly simple with just some candlesticks that I had purchased on Amazon a few years ago, and the candles came from Amazon as well. And then in the center here you'll see I'm using an oversized Christmas ornament that I also purchased at Home this year. Another tip whenever you are setting things up, just use household items, things you find around your house to prop things on or lean things against if you don't want to hang it or if you need to elevate something. Next, I'm moving on to my console table here behind my couch. This is sort of set in the center of my living space. This garland I actually got from Frontgate on clearance. If you're familiar with Frontgate, you know it's very pricey. This I got after Christmas one year, several years ago, maybe, oh gosh, 5-7 years ago. And I got it on clearance, so instead of around $100, it was only about $29.99. So I go ahead and spread this out across the table, and then I want to keep this very simple as I am just displaying my nativity here, as you'll see in this. Next, we're going to move on to this large tray I have on my ottoman in my family room. These deer are very, very old. I don't even recall where I got them, perhaps Joann Fabrics, TJ Maxx, something like that. But again, sticking with my gold and silver Winter Wonderland theme, I have these deer here, and then I'm adding in some picks that I purchased, I believe, at Hobby Lobby. And then also just sort of keeping it simple, I'm adding in these votives that are actually from Pottery Barn. A tip: laying items on an ottoman or even in the center of the table, just want to be careful with heights for conversation so people aren't looking through items, or of course if it's in front of a TV it would also need to be low as well. Next, we're moving on here to my backsplash area. I'm just adding a command hook, as you can see, and a simple plaque that I purchased at Hobby Lobby this year. It was new. And now onto my kitchen table. My kitchen table is fairly long, and this is one of my favorite displays actually that I have. I'm starting here with a ivory colored and silver and gold runner, which I purchased from Crate and Barrel a couple years back. Now I'm adding in my collection of Christmas trees, and a tip here for you is whenever you're doing a display of items, you want to have varying heights and you want to set them up in alternating colors or color groupings. Also, different materials adds interest. So for instance, here I've got things that are wire, things that are glittered, things that are matte, glass, metal, and so on. Next, I'll be adding a shiny beaded garland that I believe I picked up this year at Home. And I'm just gonna go ahead and intertwine that between the trees. And then lastly, I'm adding in here a string of pine cone shaped lights that I actually purchased from Grandin Road a couple years ago. And as you can see, these are silvery and then they look nice at night when they glow. Next, I'm moving on to my island. And here I'm gonna be setting up sort of like a woodland, sparkly vignette. A tip when decorating a large space, especially if you've got a room with high ceilings, is you always want to use things that are tall. And again, the varying heights is key to get something just right. So this birch tree here is something I believe I purchased from Wayfair. And I'm starting out by setting it in a large galvanized tray. Then I'm just going ahead with this old sheet I have, kind of create like a base that resembles snow. Next, I have these birch candles that I also want to say are from, I believe, Hobby Lobby, and those I got probably 2 years ago. Now I'm adding in some picks, and I apologize for my back in the video. As I mentioned, I'm very new to YouTube. Next, I added in some other finishing touches here with my little peace sign, some more picks, these little snowball ornaments, and also this glittery deer. So a tip for when decorating inside a basket, a tray, anything of this sort is you always want to raise your items up so that they can be visible from across the room or from head on here. So like for instance, my deer, I went ahead and elevated. I actually ended up using a Jello box, and I think I used an overturned bowl for my peace sign. So there I am there, elevating my deer. And then I added some snowflakes for a little bit of sparkle. And I love how this turned out. Now I just have this little tray here that I always like to keep my soap sort of set up in a cute way rather than just having the bottle sit there. So I went ahead and got this wooden tray. I think that might have been from Amazon actually. And I added my decorative soap. I added a little picture stand with a small wreath that I got from Hobby Lobby, a piece of greenery, and then of course, just a candle. Now I'm moving on to my dining room. And as you'll see, my dining room and entryway are a little bit of a different color scheme. So once again, I'm gonna go ahead and follow along with that. Still kind of neutral, but as you can see, I have these deep blue walls. And so I sort of like to use some blue to accent that in this room and then also as well in my entryway. I've got set here is one of those front gate garlands that I had used in the family room. And then I added in my Santa here. And this was one of those spaces where I kept starting and stopping because I couldn't quite decide what I liked. And sometimes that happens. I'll pull stuff out, I'll set it there, I'll look at it for a while and decide I don't like it, I change it, I remove it, so on. This here, I ended up with these 2 apothecary jars, which, as you'll see later, I ended up removing, and I just sort of kept it simple with the front gate garland, and I did add in some beaded snowflake garland, and then a few small little picks, just from random places, Dollar Tree, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, and I just left that sort of more simply. Now onto the dining room table centerpiece. This is another one of my favorites. This sort of came about on a whim. I had a bunch of ornaments left over one year from my tree that I do in my entry, and I was sort of stumped on what to do here for my dining room centerpiece. And so my mom actually had the idea of getting out these old vintage punch bowls and filling them with the leftover ornaments. And I was sort of skeptical, but after I tried it, I ended up totally loving it, and it's something I now do year after year. Usually I change things up here and there, but this one I love so much I do it the same every year. All of these ornaments came from multiple places, I think mostly at home, possibly some from Hobby Lobby or even Michael's. But as you can see, I love the different textures and shapes. I love how some are matte, how some are shiny, how some are glittered. And then of course, I love adding in these blue pieces at the end. I think that they really pop, and it ends up looking so beautiful, especially in the evening when I have my chandelier on. I went ahead and added a 3rd bowl in front with all blue balls, and this looks really cool as well. Sometimes groupings of colors end up becoming more dramatic than several colors mixed together, and I love this so much. Now I'm on to my tree that I put up in my foyer. It is a 12-foot tree. I purchased it pre-lit. Of course, I purchased it from Wayfair. And I kind of go along with, I kind of do the same decor on it every year. Again, I themed it after the colors in my entry and my dining room, which is right next to it. This year, something new is what you see me adding now, and this is the ribbon. I purchased it at home, along with most of the items that I add to the tree. But the ribbon, you just want to go along and start at the top, and you want to kind of come down like on an angle in a striped sort of a pattern, and just sort of shove it into the tree as you go. You don't necessarily have to wire it or anything. You can just stick it in between the branches. Then I went ahead and add some silver beaded picks, and now we're on to, as you can see with the help of my family, we're on to gold. I believe there's some silver, or maybe it's mostly gold and blue bulbs here. Next, I have these specialty bulbs, which I received as a birthday present one year, and they were actually from Costco, but I just love these. They're all different, and they're neutral silvers, golds, just iridescents, and they're so beautiful. Each one is different. Now we add on the crowning jewel of this tree, and that are these peacocks that I purchased they're actually the item that inspired the whole theme of this tree, and these were purchased at home several years back, and I actually think that they still have them. but I placed these kind of at an angle so that you can see the peacock tail, and I just think they look so pretty, especially with the ribbon. This was just a little side table in my entryway that I ended up just doing some greens and some sparkly picks, as well as my little Santa Claus here. And I also added a Christmas cookie candle. You'll see here a garland that I like to hang all along my stairs, my banister going up my stairs and across to my second floor, and it is pre-decorated, so I just hang it up, and that's also from Hobby Lobby. This is across from my tree in my entryway, and as you can see, like I mentioned, I've kind of got the navy and blue type color scheme going on in there, and I just love these trees and this reindeer. He's actually new. I got him at TJ Maxx, and the trees I've had for a couple years now. Those I believe were from Hobby Lobby, and I just sort of love how this looks just modern and clean and works so well with my abstract painting as well as the paint color in my dining room. This is another just small side table I have in my hallway heading back towards my bathroom. Just some items from TJ Maxx. Again, varying heights. Here is my countertop with this little hot cocoa box that I actually got new this year at Hobby Lobby, and it varies a little bit from my overall theme, but I thought it was cute there, and it's something that my kids would enjoy. Also, I just have a simple lit garland that I like to have along my backsplash. And again, another shot here of my nativity plaque. This is another overview of my kitchen area. This here is my butler's pantry. I just have some decorative plates placed on a cake stand, along with a candle and a little bell that I picked up at Dollar Tree this year. Next to it, I just have a simple cutting board and some Christmas cheese knives. This just creates the look of entertaining. Over here by the sink, I did a small wreath with a simple gold bow that I hung with a command hook. And also I added these apothecary jars. They're the ones that I originally had in the dining room and then switched into here. Then for a finishing touch, I went ahead with a sparkly gold ribbon, the same one from the wreath, and tied up my cabinet doors, kind of like a present. Okay everyone, so this last piece here was a last minute addition. I had finished all of my decorating, and my husband actually said to me, I think we need to add a tree in this corner in front of the window. So I agreed, and I decided actually to go with a white tree, which is something I've never had before. I purchased this tree on Wayfair. It's a 9-foot pre-lit white tree, and I stayed with my neutral metallic palette. I started out using 3 different ribbons. Actually, one is a tulle and then 2 different ribbons. And I went ahead and placed those kind of in a downward wraparound pattern. Next, I added in some silvery metallic picks that kind of have the little balls and snowflakes. Those were something different. I had never seen anything like those before, and those were from Hobby Lobby. After that, I added some of these iridescent white snowflakes. And I ahead with some sparkly gold reindeer ornaments, also from Hobby Lobby. And then just to fill in, I used up some remnants of ornaments I had from different trees and different arrangements over the years that I didn't really have a use for. And as you can see, those are different shapes and textures, some sparkly, some plain. And I'm happy with how it turned out. One thing working with a white tree I realized is it's a lot easier to see bare spots, more so than a green tree. So I think next year I would go ahead and probably add even more ornaments. But again, this was kind of a last minute addition, but I am happy with how it turned out, and I think it complements the room very well. So that wraps up my first floor Christmas house tour. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed decorating it. Please stay tuned for my next upcoming video, which will be a Christmas tour of my finished basement. Thank you so much and have a great day. See you soon.